This bowling action to modern-day eyes looks suspect and too low. Mole's arm is not close to his ear, as it would be today. In fact, this was perfectly acceptable then. Until 1864, bowlers were not allowed to lift their arm above their shoulder. Mole's problem is that he is being accused of dropping his elbow, bowling with a crooked arm. It looks quite straight here.
In Arthur's case, I think it was not guilty. Proved by photographs, film.
The Manchester Evening News decided, the most interesting pictures confirm that Mole's delivery is absolutely fair. There's absolutely no suspicion of throwing. Even though Mole was exonerated in the mind of the public, in private his family knew the whole affair had left its mark.
He'd had a great career. He'd taken so many wickets. It was, people always talked about the wickets Arthur Mole had taken. And then, at the very end, that an umpire should step forward and suddenly no-ball him at the end of his career. And I think it really saddened him. I mean, it's like a blot, isn't it? I could feel for him, really.
With hits like the Mould film, things were looking good for A.D. Thomas. He was controlling an intricate network of film crews all over the British Isles, training and employing showmen and assistants from London to Yorkshire, from Ireland to Edinburgh. He was hiring public halls to project his films. He even roped in his family, including his wife. For Mitchell and Kenyon, the business arrangement with A.D. Thomas was highly lucrative. But they still made their own films, like these of the River Dee at Chester, which are also immensely popular. An unlikely crowd puller was the newly founded Birmingham University's first ever degree day in July 1901. The citizens turned out in their hundreds to watch the procession of brightly coloured robes, mortarboards, and the university chancellor Joseph Chamberlain, famous for being the man who made Birmingham a great Victorian city. Birmingham University, like the other civic universities of Manchester, Sheffield and Bristol, was founded in a great wave of university expansion, opening up higher education to a broader range of people, including women. Till the turn of the century, women had been allowed to attend courses, but not to take degrees. Birmingham now joined a small handful of universities proudly making no distinction of sex. In the Birmingham Daily Mail of Saturday, July the 6th, 1901, is an account of the first degree congregation of Birmingham University. It's a long account and rather fascinating. It says here, among the 10 waiting bachelors was one young lady, Miss Caroline Edith Morgan. Gosh, it says here, she looked charming in her white dress and bright scarlet tie, only partially hidden beneath her black gown with its flying strings. With a slight blush and a merry smile, the first girl graduate, that's in capitals, gosh, it's so patronising, of Birmingham University, mounted the steps and approached the Chancellor, who repeated the formula of admission amid the hearty plaudits of the great audience. One of the audacious students shouted the advice to kiss her, but the Chancellor discreetly ignored the somewhat disconcerting counsel. I was determined to track down Miss Morgan, using the national census of 1901 and then contacting the university. They sent a list of their first graduates, and here we find her. But maybe she got married and changed her name, because this is where the paper trail stops. Very frustrating. The future for educated women like Caroline Morgan held few options if they actually wanted to work. They could become school teachers or nurses, but the professions like law were firmly closed upon them, and you must remember, it was another 17 years before women could even vote. The women's movement was on the march. Both middle-class and working-class women were pushing for work opportunities beyond teaching and caring. They were also demanding full political rights. The movement might have been split between the suffragettes and the suffragists. But all the activists, whatever their methods, dressed up in full Edwardian finery, flowery hats and flouncy dresses, to counter the accusation that feminists were unfeminine. There was still a large premium on female respectability. The Coventry Town Fathers used the annual Lady Godiva procession to boost their civic prestige. The medieval legend of Godiva rescuing the town by riding naked through the streets was reenacted each year. In the past, the parade of a seemingly naked woman had made the townsfolk gawp and leer. The London actress Vera Geddes was in the starring role. But this year the town fathers had made a bid at respectability by draping her in chiffon. Sagar, Mitchell and James Kenyon decided they needed assistance to cope with the increasing workload. They were taught how to crank the film cameras by hand, judging the right speed and the right distance, a tricky procedure. Too slow, and the film would be too jerky. Too fast, and it used up too much film. This exuberant carnival procession and crew was in aid of their local hospital. In the time before the distractions of television and radio, an enormous amount of effort went into designing the amazing costumes, dances and routines. Look closely at these clog dancers. You will see they are all men. At carnival time, for thousands of years, men became women, white became black, as the world was temporarily turned upside down. Next, around the corner, I came across this section of the march. The men are blacked up as both male and female gollywogs, doing a dance routine. This blacking up craze stemmed from American music hall traditions of so-called coons and nigger minstrels. But of course the British Empire was multiracial. Britain still ruled a quarter of the globe, and the British attitude to non-white races was one of superiority. black people were seen as a more primitive race. The popular stereotypes portrayed them as natty, untrustworthy ladykillers, or as bumbling, clownish idiots, good at music and dancing. Mitchell and Kenyon filmed such street processions all over the country. Fake African tribesmen in leopard skin tunics and black clowns in Accrington. Black men in kilts in Birkenhead. And a drainpipe band in Halifax. In all probability, people didn't think they were being racist when blacking up. For them, it was just innocent entertainment. Asians then were given more respect. Gandhi and Prince Ranji, the cricketer, studied in England. While these Indian sailors march alongside white servicemen in Liverpool on one of the most patriotic occasions of the year, Trafalgar Day. Ports like Bristol and Liverpool had always had a small black population since the slave trade. These three black men are coming off the commuter ferry on the Wirral. However, in most cities, black people were a tiny minority. This little black girl on the bottom seems only just to squeeze into the picture. This chap has clearly been asked by the showman in the top hat to join in the crowd. Mitchell and Kenyon might have been up to tricks. The black miner in this film has clean shirt sleeves. It looks like he hasn't been down the pit at all. To amuse the audience, the filmmakers may have placed a genuine black face, a fairground entertainer, amongst the blackened faces of the miners. The fairs are one of the few places where there are job opportunities for black people. So we went in search of someone who could tell us about fairground life in Mitchell and Kenyon's day for black and white alike. In entertainment and fairground communities, there's no difficulty tracking people down, no need to go to the library or use a 1901 census. These are very close-knit communities with a strong sense of the history of fairground shows and families. Celine Williams's family has been one of the most important on the fairground for generations.
You come on a fairground and you would see coloured people on the boxing booths. Sometimes you would find them working on the shows or on the rides. Nobody barred. There you are, look. 2 rounds, nobody barred. So if you go 2 rounds in the ring and you come off the best man, that would be your reward. They were noted for being good fighters with the coloureds. There he's got the trumpet, blowing it to draw the crowds and draw the attention. There you are, he's throwing a challenge out, you with me, look. Can you see he's pointing to himself? Here's another one rattling, 2 rattles. He's offering money, look at money in his hand. He's got boxing gloves. Can you see him throwing them up? Now, over his arm there.
The black boxer on the right, holding up the coin, is probably Bill Johnson, who landed in Liverpool from West Africa in 1897 and joined the fairground boxing booths to make money. But boxing was just one of the attractions of the fair.
That show there is what remains of my great-grandfather, Randall Williams's original show, first moving pictures on the fairgrounds. There's the traction engine that generated light. That's guess your weights. Best part of it would be brass and polished. And whoever's operating it would guess the person's weight. And if he was right, then, mind you, had to, sometimes if it was a lady, you had to be a bit careful. Bostock and Wombwell's Menagerie. There you are, you can see the band there. There's his band. There's 2 live bears. Clowns. Here comes the tumbler. Watch him. There's a clown, look, tumbling. Is a food stall. There you see he's putting salt and vinegar on. She's making cones, paper cones from the paper there. She's rolling it round her hand. He's filling them and selling them. It could be chips, but it looks more like small potatoes to me.
A.D. Thomas's shows had enjoyed huge popularity, but then it all went pear-shaped. It was expensive to hire public halls and buy cinematograph machines. It suddenly got too much. He overstretched himself. In April 1902, he was declared bankrupt. For 51 weeks a year, the coal pits, factories and cotton mills were busy. But each week in the summer, called Wakes Week, a different town would shut down for the greatest holiday of the year. Originally a one-day holiday of the local patron saint, by Mitchell and Kenyon's day,